Nightingale is Kristin Hannah's most famous novel. The story of The Nightingale is set in the World War II. The story focuses on the two sisters, Vianne and Isabel. They were orphaned at a very young age after their mother died and their father traumatized by his experience during the World War I. These two sisters have completely different personality. They are not close to each other, so the story is usually told in separate perspectives. As the German is about to invade France, Vianne's husband, Anton, is conscripted to fight for France against the attacking Germans. Vianne and her daughter Sophie try to continue normal life without him, imagining that he will return soon. Meanwhile, Isabel is expelled from the French school and sent home to her strange father, Julien. In Paris, Julien reluctantly allows her to stay with him, but he soon changed his mind when the Germans break through the French defensive line and approach Paris. Isabel evacuates Paris along with 1,000 people. Apparently, she separated from her companion. She traveled all alone, and he met her future lover, Gaëtan, who invites her to go to war, eager to do something meaningful with her life. She agrees. They travel together in Carivo. When the crowd of Parisian refugees to reach Carivo, Vianne locks her house because she cannot help them all. As a result, Isabel and Gaëtan find themselves locked out and slept in Vianne's yard. Gaëtan decided that Isabel is not ready for war. Gaëtan left for the war front next morning without her. Vianne turned to Isabel, and together they know that France was surrendered to Germany. German occupation. The invading German assigned a Nazi named Beck to live with Vianne. Isabel, outraged by this arrangement, Isabel joined the resistance movement and began distributing anti-Nazi pamphlets around the Carivo. Vianne, however, becomes fond of Beck's and agrees to give him a list of the Jews and communists to teach her school, including her best friend Rachel. Soon after, Vianne is guilty when everyone in the list is fired from their teaching jobs. Isabel's resistant colleagues asked her to carry a letter to Paris and to remain and continue her resistant work. She agrees, taking advantage of her sister's good relationship with Beck. To ask for special papers gives her permission to travel. She isn't in Paris long before she proposed a plan to guide a group Allied airmen whose plane have been shot down across the border into Spain, and then she adopted the code name The Nightingale. After the successful first trip, the British government agrees to fund her future excursion, and she began to regularly leading groups of airmen, and regularly to begin leading the group of airmen out to France. On the other side, Vianne fired from her teaching job after objecting when another teacher are arrested. With no source of income, she and Sophie spend cold winter with no food while Beck is away. When Beck returns, he insists on caring of them. Meanwhile, Rachel and her children are forced to wear a yellow star, celebrating them as Jews. The Holocaust. Isabel knows that Germans are planning to send all foreign-born Jews in France to concentration camp. She hides one family in Paris. In Carivo, Beck warns Rachel that she should go into hiding in one day. Rachel first tried to flee with her children, but shooting breakouts at the security checkpoint. Her daughter Sarah is killed. Rachel and her son Ari hide in a concealed cellar under Vianne's barn for a day. Rachel comes out for a few minutes, and the following afternoon Rachel is being arrested, leaving behind Ari with Vianne. Vianne changed Ari's name to Daniel, and Beck provided a false identity papers for the boy so that he won't be identified as Jewish.
When an autopilot is shut down over Carview, Isabel rescues the pilot and hides him under Brian's van. While looking for the pilot, Beck finds and shoots Isabel. Vian kills Beck to save Isabel's life. Gaten smuggles the wounded Isabel to safety, and they finally become lovers after years of desiring each other. With Beck, the missing, a cruel Nazi commander named von Richter moves into Vian's home. Vian begins rescuing more Jewish children, forging false identity papers for them and sending them to the local Catholic orphanage, so that they are not sent to concentration camps with their parents. Isabel, whose success at the Nightingale has infuriated the Nazis, is finally captured along with her friend Michelin Babeni, not realizing that Isabel is a Nightingale. The Nazis torture her for their information. To rescue her, her father Julian claims to be the Nightingale and surrender himself. He is shot while Isabel watches. She and Micheline are first sent to one concentration camp, then to another. They remain until they are rescued at the war ends. When a friend of Vian is arrested for aiding the resistance, von Richard threatens Vian, and she begs him not to harm her children. Von Richard, realizing that her children are her weaknesses, rapes her regularly by threatening her children. She becomes pregnant by him. When the German soldiers evacuate and her husband, Anton returns home. Vian lies saying that the child is Anton's. People begin returning from concentration camps, and Vian tries to learn if Ari's parents are still alive. They are not, but he has relatives in America who want him to live with him. Vian begs to keep him, but he is taken away. Isabel returns home from the concentration camp, sick and near death. Gaten visits her one last time before she dies. A few chapter plays throughout the book are set in 1995, roughly 50 years after World War II narrative. In these chapters, an unnamed elderly woman later revealed to be Vian's, who is dying of cancer, must finally come to terms with her memories of the past. As her son Julian moves her retirement community, she received an invitation to an event in Paris, commemorating the resistance work of people like her sister Isabel. Although she initially refuses to go, she suddenly changes her mind and books a flight on Paris, calling Julian to tell her where she has gone. Julian meets her at the airport, refusing to allow her to travel alone. He decided to join her. Together they attend an event in Paris, where Vian speaks in memory of her sister. She also sees Gaten, who has named his daughter Isabel, and Ari, the complaint, who has been searching for Vian ever since they separated at the end of the war. Julian realizes that his mother has been keeping many secrets about the war from him. She agrees to tell him all the secrets except one. That is the secret of his biological father's identity.